And welcome to the Nerd Show here on 1190 AM or streaming online, iHeartRadio.com, keyword 1190 AM. You're listening to the Nerd Show. Phone numbers up here to the station are 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. You can check out our website, thenerdshowonline.com. Facebook, we have a Facebook page, fan page there, facebook.com, keyword The Nerd Show. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com @The Nerd Show. Joined this evening, Joe Cuccinati. Joe,
Yes.
What's going on, man?
I'm doing good. I feel kind of lonely in here. It's just us tonight.
There's no Thaddeus.
We have Jeff. I was telling Jeff that he should just turn all the mics on and come run in from the producer room.
Yeah, dude, you should so chime in tonight.
Yeah, that short little jog is too much for me.
No, that's okay, dude. Dude, you've got almost all your bandages off on your hands.
Yeah, I've got the cast that was on there post surgery. That's off, and then they made me this new splint that I had to wear to protect the pins that were sticking out of my finger. That's off now. Now I just have a Band-Aid, and you could see. It's really gross. Luckily, this is radio. You could see the holes where the pins were coming out.
Okay, what was really more gross was the pins actually sticking out of your finger. God, ugh.
My finger was like Sputnik. It was awesome. I had a little antenna sticking out.
You kept just shoving it in my face. Look, Ben, look. I'm like, no. Get away, get away.
Well, maybe someday I'll get some pins put back in just for you.
Yeah, well, if only I would be so lucky.
Not anytime soon, though.
That's right.
Those sucked.
You know, I hear there's a movie that came out this weekend. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's that. What was it?
What was the name of that movie?
That rom-com.
What was it? Yep.
I can't think of anything else that's come out this weekend. That was a horrible bit. The Avengers.
The Avengers. Finally, this build-up, this massive release, this nerdgasm called The Avengers has finally come out.
The movie that many fans said would never be done.
Well, it's been done.
It's been done. It's done wonderfully by the talented Joss Whedon.
Which is, this is only like his second film that he's directed. Third film?
You know what? I can't remember. Did he direct the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie?
I think he was a writer on it.
Okay, he was right. He wrote that and created. He also wrote Titan AE, wrote Toy Story. I think you're right. I think this is only the second feature film. We could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're right about this.
Well, it's the only feature films that I know of, Serenity and, of course, Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of my head.
If you could think of one, give us a call here in the studio and correct us.
Area code 214-787-1190. I actually have some figures, and I want to regale you with these figures. It will blow your mind.
Please do.
Because, honestly, Avengers was released in Europe and India before it was released here in America.
Yeah.
And after 12 days of release in foreign countries, we're looking at $441 million it's made in the box office.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, it was last weekend, I believe it was the #1 movie, and it hadn't even been released yet. It had already made $200 million at that point.
It had a budget of an estimated $220 million, and it's already exceeded that. It's doubled that in revenue, and it hadn't even opened in America yet.
Huge success.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a huge success for Marvel.
And of course. And we're looking at an estimated $200.3 million in just the first weekend alone of Avengers.
That's great. Good for them.
And that's a total of $641 million. I mean, to put it in perspective, the final Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2, $169.2 million in its opening weekend. You've got Dark Knight, $158.4 million. And you've got Iron Man 2, which came out in 2010, $623 million total global. And
really?
it's blown it away.
Wow,
yes.
that's more than I thought it would have made. I wasn't really fond of Iron Man 2, but I guess after the success of the first one, that makes sense. Now, how are we looking on track for, basically the biggest gross, because you've got your big openings and then you've got your highest grossing movies in the theater. Do you have any figures
Honestly,
on that?
it's already in the top 5. It is.
It's ridiculous.
And you look at all the other movies, it's prequels. It's Shrek After After. It's Twilight.
Shrek Ever After's on that list?
Well, that's number 6.
Oh.
Then you got Twilight Eclipse, and you've got other. They're all sequels, and that begs the question. Okay, well, this is a question I pose to you: could Avengers be considered a sequel? Now, that's of course the strictest definition.
Well, I mean, if we're going to look at it black and white, I would say no, because it's the Avengers.
Right.
It's its own thing. It's its own entity, and it just happens to borrow from some of the other properties. But technically it is a sequel, because it would not be possible, and it probably wouldn't be as successful as it is if you didn't have your Iron Man movies and your Thor and your Hulk and your Captain America leading up to it. So in essence, it is Iron Man 3, Captain America 2, Hulk 4, Thor 2. I mean, it's just, how many Hulk movies have we had? We've had this would be the third one.
Well, we don't count that one in 2003. We don't.
Someone counts it.
I
Dog
block
lovers
it
do.
out. Yes.
Someone
yes.
who really wanted to see a poodle Hulk out.
Oh, wow.
But no, this one does what I never thought possible, and it makes the Hulk a completely legit hero on the screen. As much as I like the Ed Norton film, I never thought in a million years I would be jumping up out of my seat cheering for that character in a movie.
Really, I thought Mark Ruffalo did a great job with that character. A great Bruce Banner, and even at the end. Well, I don't want to give too much away. We're going to talk about that next segment.
You do not like he was the only person to play the Hulk that ever did the actual mocap himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it pays off. You know, you get to see some of his performance shine through when he's the other guy.
Definitely.
It's a really good film. I'm looking forward to speaking about it more.
Yeah, that's right. Next segment. Now, actually, I've got a little bit more news that's not Avengers related. I know. It's shocking, I know, but you remember Valiant Comics?
The company that put out Bloodshot?
That's right.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, they just signed a deal this past week with Comixology. They're going to be doing exclusive digital distribution, which includes, of course, Man of War #1. That's already on sale. Yeah. We got Harbinger #1. It's going to be on sale June 6th. Bloodshot #1.
Hey!
That's going to be July 11th. And Archer and Armstrong #1, August 8th.
I think I still have Bloodshot #1 with the chromium cover.
Oh, do you?
Oh, my gosh. That was around the time when those chromium covers and the hologram covers, they were going nuts with that stuff.
That was like 95?
It was with
94.
Valiant, I think, was 91, 92, if I'm not mistaken, which I very much can be. You're the one that's good with dates. I'm not. But no, I remember like Valiant came out with all these like sea-level looking comics and stuff, and I really couldn't get into it. And God knows they were probably really good, but they didn't look pretty. So I didn't get into them too much. But that's cool that they're coming back. Now, they're re-releasing the originals in Comixology?
It doesn't say up here. 4 new series, so I think they're
rebooting them.
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
According to this story,
I'm gonna go dig through my long boxes now.
That's right. Oh, Man of War. Actually, it was 92, 93 when all that came out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think Man of War was probably the most successful to come out of that because they ended up doing a PlayStation game where they teamed up Man of War and Iron Man.
Really?
Yeah. It was actually a pretty decent little game, little fighter, but a side-scrolling thing. Shooting a lot of tech and stuff, but yeah, that's the only character I think I remember other than Bloodshot.
I remember it going by, but I was so poor I couldn't buy any.
Oh, you were a youngin' back then.
I was what 10, 11 years old. How old were you, Joe?
Well, I was probably 40 at that point.
Oh, 40. Which puts you in your 70s now.
Yeah, I'm looking pretty spry in my 70s.
Very few gray hairs you got over there. That's nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking that out. That's on the Comixology app again, you said?
Yes, that is correct. So you can go to website, valiantentertainment.com and check out all that info.
Sweet.
Next segment, we're going to be talking about Avengers. Of course, you've got to see it, I don't know how many times.
4 times.
And I've only seen it once, so I'd like to get your take on Avengers and possibly Avenger sequels, along with other hero sequels as well. You've been listening to The Nerd Show, and be sure and catch us after the break. We're going to be talking Avengers. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM and iHeart Radio.
Lou, you're my boy! Thank you, sir.
It's the Nerd Show.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size.
God, that's going back to the mid-60s on that.
That's the 60s. That was a fun little cartoon series, that one.
They actually did a few incarnations of that.
Oh, yeah. Of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They did Spider-Man, and then they did Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Awesome
and then
show.
Now you've got Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, the quintessential Spider-Man in the 90s, the animated series that they did.
Yeah.
Which actually that's the one I grew up on.
It all started as a high school kid who was bit by a spider and became Spider-Man. The rest, as they say, is history.
Why, thank you, Mr. Lee. That was awesome. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM and streaming live through iHeartRadio.com, keyword 1190 AM. Phone numbers up here to the station are 214-787-1190 or 817-787-1190. Check out our Twitter page. We're reading comments during the show. We post cool stuff. I almost said another word. That was bad. You get behind-the-scenes look at kind of what's going on with the show, and, go follow us. We're talking about really cool stuff, like Avengers.
The Avengers.
Joe, have you heard that this movie's out?
Yes, The Avengers. It's going to be the highest-grossing movie ever in the history of man until Avengers 2.
That's actually, yes. Yeah, that's actually sparking a debate. Will Spider-Man or possibly Dark Knight Rises topple them off the number one box office?
I don't think they're going to topple them. I don't, because word of mouth especially on this new Spider-Man flick, isn't quite as positive, isn't quite as good as the Avengers. Well, yeah, I mean, if you watch the trailer, they're already messing with some of the origin stuff with Spider-Man. This one's obviously trying to be based a little bit more on the Ultimate Spider-Man line,
right?
While still adding some stuff that I'm not familiar with. You've got this stuff in the trailer where they're talking about Peter discovering something that used to belong to his dad, and I have no idea what it is. I'm assuming it's the web shooter stuff. I don't know. And his history with Dr. Connors. It looks like it's going to be a good movie. Like the extended trailer that they showed before the Avengers looks great. It looks like a really cool trailer. I'm not sure I want to see it in 3D because it looks like it's going to be a frantic-paced movie.
Yeah.
And with Dark Knight Rises, I think Dark Knight Rises is going to do really well. I think it's going to do better than Spider-Man. But, man, there are some things in that trailer that turn me off. Stuff that isn't really Nolan, Nolan has done a good job basing this Batman franchise, for the most part, in reality. There's some stuff that's kind of fantasy. There's some stuff that's a little hard to believe. But, when a football field is blowing up behind Heinz
That
Ward,
was really cheesy, man.
And the Batmobile starts flying, I'm like, oh, gosh, this is getting a little too fantastic.
Well, as far as I can tell, looking at the box office schedule for this summer, you've got, of course, we have a phone call. We have Alan. Why is no one in the new movie Iron Sky?
Oh, Iron Sky, is that the one about Sarah Palin? and like the aliens invading or something like that?
What? Alan, how's it going?
Fine.
Excellent. What's your question?
Okay, well, I was reading the Dallas Morning newspaper today, and we're talking about all these movies that are coming out this year.
Right.
Some science fiction, some comic books. But one film that seems to be nobody has ever nobody seems to want to mention in the media, but seems to get blogs on, is this film done by a Canadian from a Finnish company called Iron Sky.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one about the Nazis set up a secret base in Antarctica, then they go to the moon after the war, and then in 2018 they're coming back to take back the Earth for the Fourth Reich, which is it's a kind of like a comedy film, like that vampire, like that zombie film, Zombieland.
Like Zombieland. Kind of, I've seen I saw the trailer for this once. And,
I have not heard a thing about this.
It looks pretty hysterical, but at the same time, it looks like it's going to be one of those movies that's going to get swept right under the carpet.
Right.
But I'm excited to see it. I think Alan brings up a good point. I haven't heard anybody talking about it, but the plot for it is just so outrageous. No, I don't know why. I don't know why nobody's putting that on their list. I think they're just kind of feeling like it's not going to make a whole lot. But other than that, I think it seems like one of those sleeper hits, like something that's going to be a cult classic.
Yeah, I know that an American distributor got the film after they made after the Berlin Film Festival a few months ago, and considering the subject matter, it was the big hit. And considering, in Berlin what happened back in the 30s and 40s.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, I'd certainly like to learn more about this film. I want to see the
maybe.
trailer and stuff.
Well, we'll check it out.
I'll check it out during the break here.
Yeah,
you can see it on YouTube. So.
Okay. Well, cool. I'll check it out, and thanks for your call, Alan. I want to keep an idea. I want to check this out now. It's intriguing.
You know what? It's funny. I'd totally forgotten about it until Alan called just now. But it's just a wacky trailer. If I had my phone on me, I'd pull it up for you, but you've got.
I got the computer here. We can check it out.
But it's not going to make. Bottom line, it's not going to make a whole lot of money.
No, it's not going to be on the radar along with Spider-Man, Dark Knight Rises, or even Avengers.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I was about to comment on. It was like Amazing Spider-Man's July 3rd. I mean, we've got over a month until the next big, huge potential blockbuster comes out.
Right.
And then 17 days after that, we got Dark Knight Rises. Now I don't know exactly how that's going to work with them being so close together. I think that's kind of short-changing Spider-Man a little bit.
I don't think it is. I think that you've got enough time because movies, they don't make movies to last in theaters for like a long time anymore. I think something like The Avengers is very special. That's lightning in a bottle right there.
Right.
That movie's going to be in theaters for months. But something like Spider-Man's going to hit the theater, going to be in there probably about a month or so, and then be out. By the time Dark Knight Rises comes out, Spider-Man will already be on the downswing.
It'll be fiddled, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
That's the way Hollywood puts this stuff together.
Now, do you see Avengers going the distance all the way #1 box office until July 3rd when Spider-Man comes out?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Because I'm trying to think of anything else that's coming out. I mean, when does G.I. Joe come out? Do you don't happen to have that on
I
you?
don't have that on me.
Okay,
No, I do
because
not.
I think that comes out within the next month or so.
Right.
And I think that's going to get some audiences because people love The Rock. That guy is box office gold.
Yep.
He could do stuff like The Tooth Fairy, but still makes money.
Yeah, that's right.
So that'll bite into
that
into
coupled
the
with
Avengers.
Bruce Willis, I think will make a really good, solid film. I think a lot more solid than I would say the original G.I. Joe.
Man, the original G.I. Joe is a wonderful, guilty pleasure of mine.
That's right. Now,
I dig the heck out of that movie, man.
Now, Joe, to answer your question, the new G.I. Joe movie is going to be coming out June 29th.
June 29th. Okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah,
still,
thank you very much.
that's pretty close to the beginning of July.
Yes.
So we've got pretty much a month of nothing but Avengers.
Uh-huh.
And anything that will go up against the Avengers will, unless if it's an action film, will not happen.
Well, The Expendables 2 comes out.
Really?
I don't care when it comes out. I just want it to come out.
He's fist pumping in there. I think that comes out within that time. I think that's when Expendables 2 is hitting.
That's going to be an amazing movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And I just love the fact that what's his name, Stallone, kind of gave the finger to Chuck Norris because Chuck Norris said, "Okay, if I'm going to be in this movie, it's got to be PG-13." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's going to be PG-13." So they shot all Chuck Norris's all his scenes, and then Stone was just like, "No, it's going to be R."
That's awesome. I didn't know that story. That's cool.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm excited about Van Damme being in it as well.
Yeah, because that's well. See, I haven't seen the first one. I know.
Oh my gosh!
I know. Jeff's gonna jump through the window and choke me.
It's such a fun action movie. It's ridiculous. It's borderline moronic with the plot,
Right.
but the action is just out of this world. It's so fun. Yeah, I mean, you're basically watching all your favorite action stars from the '80s and some current ones as well.
Right.
Getting together and making like this super band. And taking on the world, man. I don't think Mickey Rourke is coming back for this one though.
Oh, really?
I don't see him credited. Oh, and just so you know, the Expendables 2 comes out August 17th.
Oh wow, that was way
Golly,
off.
after everything, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing him on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So yeah, nothing's gonna touch the Avengers basically.
I would say so.
For the next month or so.
I would say so.
The kingdom belongs to Marvel and Joss Whedon.
What a great way to set up your whole movie. And this is over the last 3 or 4 years. They've sat down. They was like, okay, we're gonna do Iron Man.
It's been longer than that. They've been setting this up since like 2004, 2005.
Really?
When they put out that first animated Avengers movie, that was when they still had their deal with Lionsgate. That's when they had set out the plan. A lot of these movies were supposed to be released in conjunction with Lionsgate. And I mean, even then they were talking about like, we're going to have an Iron Man movie. We were going to have a Captain America movie. And it was always going to be called Captain America, the First Avenger.
Right.
There was going to be Thor. There was going to be an Ant-Man movie. And that's the one that I was kind of excited about.
Yeah,
and
that
they
was
never
like
ended up going with it. But yeah, no, this has been in the works for a long time. And that's why everybody said Avengers is never going to happen.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask you, since you're such an Avengers fan. Obviously, this doesn't have Wasp, Ant-Man, or I guess Wasp and Ant-Man pretty much in this film. I mean, were you crestfallen at all?
No. Wasp, I think of the original Avengers, I think it was Captain America. Well, it wasn't even Captain America. It was Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, Wasp, and the Hulk.
The Hulk, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Captain America didn't come along until issue 4, according to this.
Was it issue 4? I thought it was like, okay, yeah, it was issue 4 of the Avengers.
Yep.
It was like Captain America number 100 was when he returned into the Silver Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, because it was under a different banner too. He wasn't a Marvel Comics character to begin with.
Timely Comics. Yeah.
Which then became Marvel.
Marvel, right.
But yeah, no, and then they decided to throw him in with the Avengers, which, I mean, it was a great fit. But yeah, of all the characters that didn't belong in this movie, if you were making an Avengers flick, I guess it would be Captain America. But now, in the modern age, you can't have the Avengers without him.
That's right. Well, and really, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. has kind of made that transition as well.
Yeah.
And that really started with the Ultimates.
That did start with the Ultimates, where they made S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of what put the Avengers together.
Right.
Because they had nothing to do with the original Avengers. Nick Fury had his own book, Sergeant Fury and His Howling Commandos, which they fought in World War II alongside Captain America. All these people in Marvel Comics fought in World War II, and they all look fantastic still to this day.
Yes, they do.
But no, I'm not upset with the lineup at all with this movie.
Right.
I was really worried about them marrying the Ultimates Chitauri thing with the classic Avengers Loki thing.
Right.
I didn't know if it was going to work, and it does.
It does.
It's really fun. Honestly, what's his name? Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, great Loki.
He's a fantastic Loki, and they always say your hero is only as good as their villain, and he's a great villain because he's not too heavy-handed. He's not too evil. He's got some stuff that makes him kind of likable at the same time.
Well, hold that thought, Joe. We're actually we got a little sidetrack. We're going to get back, and we're going to discuss the film itself next segment.
Okay.
You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Phone number's up here, 214-787-1190. Give us a call. Tell us what you think of the film. You saw it. I know you saw it. The money is there. It proves it.
It's The Nerd Show.
Live fast, love hard, and don't let anybody else use your comb.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy
What?
days. Saturday, what a day. Crocking all week with you. This day is ours.
It's a great song.
Why are you smiling back there?
I don't know.
You're like, I found gold.
Last segment, this song just popped into my head. I was like, all right, we got a Fonzie drop. Might as well go with the theme song.
Nothing can hold me when I hold you.
Go for it, Joe.
I don't know. This is a different version.
Oh, that's the only bit.
Yeah,
you know.
this is like the actual song, not just the theme song opened up.
Oh, wow.
Man.
I didn't know they even did a full song of
There
that.
was a full song of the Happy Days.
Wow.
Happy and free.
Useless knowledge.
Speaking of useless, what were we talking about?
Oh, yes. We're talking about The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Streaming online, iHeartRadio.com, keyword The Nerd Show, 214-787-1190. Give us a call. Let us know what you think of Avengers. We're talking about it right now. Now, of course, you can log on to our website, thenerdshowonline.com. You can check out our logo. Click our logo on our front page. It'll take you straight to the iHeartRadio feed. You can get bios on us, the nerds. They can see what made you the nerd you are today, Joe.
The origins
That's
of my
the
nerdery.
the origins of Joe. If you miss a show, we post our shows under our audio page. You can catch it as a podcast. Links to Facebook and Twitter so you can keep track of us during the week. Emails in case you want to send us fan mail. Send some fan mail to Joe. Joe's lonely.
Okay, I am.
Yes.
I am a lonely man.
There you go. And of course, if you like what you hear, go advertise with us. I mean, we are a business. We like money.
Yeah. It just seems so insincere to end it all with that. And please, now,
I'm completely
give us
sincere
money.
when it comes to money.
Give
It's
us
awesome.
money.
Money is cool. It can be exchanged for goods and services.
So do we have time to talk about the Avengers?
Yes,
now
we
after
do.
all
Let's
that?
get on to the Avengers. Now, you've seen the film, 4 times now?
I saw it 3 times before it came out. And then the 4th on.
Were you
at
just
midnight.
stalking websites or different people's dude,
Well-
I want to go see it before everyone else.
As you know, I'm working on writing. I'm developing a show with Hulu right now,
Right.
and one of the guys that I'm writing with had access to a screening that was going on a computer. It was like a Skype streaming screening,
Nice.
and so I got to take part in that. And it was the movie, but a lot of the effects weren't finished yet, and there were place cards for scenes and stuff. So a lot of that last reel, I didn't get to see the way it was supposed to be seen.
Hulk fight.
Yeah, it was
Captain America bash someone.
Some guy with a stick with the Hulk's head on top of it, and
Oh, nice.
just for frame of reference.
I prefer to see that version.
Chris Evans acting like he's throwing a shield, but no shield in his hand.
Nice.
It was pretty interesting, but it was still a good flick. And then, we work at a radio station. They do screenings all the time.
Yes, that's true.
So I got to go to a couple of those as well, and just absolutely adored the movie.
Now, a lot of superhero films in the past were really bogged down in exposition, and it really kind of slowed the movie down. This movie does not kind of have that impediment.
Well, because they were smart about it, and they ended up doing that with their individual films. You got to learn about what the heroes were in their individual movies. However, even though they did that, if you were to come into the Avengers for the first time, you still get a pretty good sense of who everybody is. but they don't waste a whole lot of time. Like, this is the history, this is that.
Yep.
A lot of it I credit to Joss Whedon's really creative and clever writing. He gives you the very basics that you need to know about the characters, but he fits them into just normal dialogue that still helps perpetuate the plot.
Right.
There's the part where, and I'm not ruining anything, but there's a part where Tony Stark is talking to David Banner, and David Banner's talking about, control and this and that. And Stark, taps the thing on his chest. He goes, see this thing? This thing keeps shrapnel from going into my heart. Like, he explains a very key thing about his character, but makes it a relevant point in the conversation that he's having about something else completely with the character.
Yep.
It was very clever, very good, and that's why it doesn't get mired in all that. I guess the most exposition you get is whenever, like, there's a Loki scene or there's the scene with S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, Nick Fury is the exposition device in this movie.
Pretty much.
And, Sam Jackson, he's going to deliver it in his own style, but not for the most part, you're absolutely correct. There really isn't a whole lot of exposition going on in this.
Now, after watching the film, it felt like a really mesh of the original Avengers back, the 1960s classic series,
Yeah.
and of course the Ultimates that came out in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
I felt it was a really good balance between the two. I mean, there are a lot of key points they've kind of just intertwined.
It was, and a lot of that started with the Iron Man movie, where they kind of changed up the origins of Iron Man a little bit.
Right.
It's not completely the old origin, and it's not completely the new one. They did a really good job. Marvel did a great job marrying the continuities to make a successful film. And yeah, Captain America, really, people were kind of out on Captain America until they rebooted the Avengers with the Ultimates.
Right.
And then suddenly, like, Captain America was, instead of, just this Boy Scout, he's kicking a man when he's down, and, the stuff that he was saying to people, he was more of a take charge military guy. And it gave him a new edge that made people very interested.
To me, that Ultimates Captain America, it felt like he wasn't a man out of time and he was trying to readjust to today's version. It's like he brought that era of values and he's just, rammed straight into today's world. And he's really, forcing a lot of his values, possibly a lot of his thinking in a lot of the actions that he takes in the comic.
I guess, I've always kind of seen the Ultimates Cap as more of a, he seemed to be the one that wasn't quite slowed down by the time, by sleeping for so long.
Right.
And he kind of adjusted pretty well. It's the classic, especially this Captain America that Ed Brubaker started writing not long before the movie. It's a really great series, and it led to, if anybody out there is keeping up with the comics, the Civil War and Cap getting shot. And that was Cap, the man out of time Cap, who ended up adjusting but still trying to be that man. Kind of what Erskine says in the movie, be a good man, stay a good man. And that's what that classic Cap was. And they kind of brought more of that personality in to Chris Evans with the movies, which I'm glad. I'm glad they went that route.
Now, a lot of the traps that you fall into after seeing all the, I would say, setup films for Avengers, you want to see a lot of the stories that weren't quite tied up in those movies. Now, of course, Captain America being the most prevalent of that. Yeah. Where, you want to see what happens from when he was frozen to, what's really happened in those 70 years that he was asleep, what happened to all of his original all the characters in the film, and especially his love interest with Hallie Atwell. Yeah. How did that all come about? Now, you was like, okay, Avengers is my next big spoonful of this universe. I want something to hang on to. They didn't do. No, they didn't. It focuses more on the mission rather than the story.
Yes, because if they would have gotten too bogged down in the backstory, you couldn't just do it for one character. Right. And what Joss Whedon did with this movie was he balanced everybody perfectly, where there wasn't one character who was more important than everybody else. It was a very even, equal movie. It was a true team film. And had we gone into all that, we're like, well, what happened to this person over this time? What happened to this person? Suddenly you'd have a 5-hour movie on your hands.
Of course, I wouldn't mind that. I'm sure you wouldn't
no, I
mind
wouldn't
that.
either. Somewhere, maybe there's an extended cut of this film, and I would love to see it.
And yes, and I attribute Joss as well. I mean, with Thor, like, okay, why is Natalie Portman in this film? If what's his? I can't pronounce his name.
What? Chris Hemsworth?
No.
Oh, Stellan Skarsgård?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
He was in the film, of course, but was like, "Where's Natalie Portman?" I was like, "Well, they kind of tipped the hat to her, on a view. It's like, oh, we whisked her off to this little top secret facility, and they kind of do that through the whole film, like you're saying." And I thought that was great because it's a little nod to tie up the ends until we get through the movie,
which was nice. But for the most part, they kept it lean. If a character wasn't needed, if they didn't need this character, like Rhodey wasn't in it.
I would have loved to have seen Rhodey in the film.
But because they kept it lean and wanted to just focus on these characters, which I have no problem with at all. But yeah, no, I had that thought as well. I'm like, well, why don't they call in Rhodey? They could use some extra guns, right?
We both love War Machine. And of course, I know our good friend Ted, he loves War Machine like crazy. I would like to have seen him in the film. I think if they had an extended cut, or if they want to go back and do something with it, I know he'll be in Avengers 2.
Oh yeah, probably. But for those people like you had brought up, wanting to know what happened between that time, Marvel started doing these prelude comics, which you've got one of them here for Black Widow.
That's right, and I saw you kind of staring longingly at the cover here. It's a picture of Black Widow, and of course it's Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. And honestly, I did like her with her longer hair in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, the Iron Man 2 look with the long hair, much better, but I guess it's less practical with all the movement and stuff she had to do in this movie. Like, in the Avengers, they weren't looking to sex her up. In Iron Man 2, she was more eye candy.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, obviously Scarlett Johansson's beautiful, and to some people she's still going to be eye candy, but she was a very capable, very strong, very confident female hero.
Well, you get a little bit more of her backstory too in the film, especially with the scene with her and Loki kind of talking between the two. You find out kind of how she's recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit, how Hawkeye plays into that. And one question I wanted to pose to you is, I know at the end of that, spoilers.
Turn it down for 10 seconds.
Turn it down for 10 seconds. There you go. Now, the end of that scene, it's revealed that she is in control of her emotions.
Yes.
Now, before that, do you think Loki got to her a
No.
little bit?
It wasn't Loki. Someone else had gotten to her. It's in the comics. If you were to follow the Black Widow storyline,
No. I mean
comics,
emotionally in that conversation.
Oh, no, I think she had him the whole time.
The whole time.
I think she had him the whole time.
I think she got rattled a little bit and then recovered. That's what I think.
No, that's her thing, man. I think that's...
We can't tell because she's so good.
But they set it up. They set it up in the beginning of the movie that's kind of her bit.
I don't know. Just the intensity of Loki coming back at her. She had to be rattled a little bit. Come on.
I think you got rattled.
A little bit. It was good. Good scene. It was a good scene. I love that scene. That scene was great.
Again, tip of the hat to Tom Hiddleston. He plays that scene. He chews that scenery up, and he's stuck in a room.
He does quiet evil really good, and he does crazy evil even better.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
He's really good.
You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM, iHeartRadio.com, keyword 1190 AM. Next up, we're going to be talking about this prelude comic we just mentioned, Avengers. It's kind of a spotlight on Black Widow. It's going to be really cool. It's first issue in a 3-part series. We'll be right back after the break.
Brass monkey, that funky monkey.
It's the Nerd Show.
Thank you, lady. I love you. Bye-bye.
That's cool. That's Mindy from Animaniacs right there. I didn't know you had that drop. That was awesome. I keep thinking back to Neil Patrick Harris on Saturday Night Live.
That's a great digital short. Great digital
it's
short.
Just kind of added. Everyone kind of adds in. It's great. It's great. You're listening to The Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. You can look us up on Facebook. I'm completely unprepared for this segment. Hold on a second. It's
Just
The Nerd
look
Show.
up The Nerd Show on
That's
Facebook.
right. Facebook.com, keyword The Nerd Show. We read your comments live during the show. We post the latest nerd news. Keep up with us during the week. It's really cool stuff that we post. At least we think it's cool anyway.
I think it's cool.
And, of course, brought to you this week, it's going to be the Comic Book Weekly Review, brought to you by Keith's Comics, 5400 East Mockingbird Lane in Dallas. That's Suite 120. Keith's Comics has been serving Dallas since 1989. And, of course, you can check out Keith's other locations. It's More Fun Comics in Lancaster, More Fun Comics Denton in Denton, and Keith's Comics North Dallas. It's up at Trinity Mills Midway. I go to that one. That's the one I visit most frequently.
When I go to Keith's Comics, I usually go to the one off of Mockingbird. And I see Keith, and I always want to walk in and be like, hey, I'm the dude from the Nerd Show radio show. I've talked to you a few, but then I never do.
You can't do that because I do that and I annoy him.
No.
That's how that works.
That's funny.
He's like, oh, it's that guy again.
No, usually I go and I look at their selection of Star Wars stuff.
That's very extensive over there.
It is. They got some cool stuff.
Indeed. Now, of course, for more info, you can go to the website, keithscomics.com. You can also follow Keith on Twitter, @Keith since 1989, and on Facebook, facebook.com/KeithsComics.
Sweet.
Now, let's get to this Avengers Prelude comic, because really we've been inundated with so much Avengers stuff over the past, month or so.
Yeah.
It's just X-Men versus Avengers that we covered a couple weeks back.
Right.
And, of course, I've got spotlights over here for every single Avengers character ever, which I've yet to get to, which I want to get to. But let's talk about this Prelude because it ties in directly to the movie that's out now.
Okay.
One thing that kind of bugs me is that they've released issue 1 of this 3-issue limited series, but don't you think they could have tied up the second and third issues with the release of the movie?
No, I think
where
I don't
it
think
kind of flows into one another.
I don't think that would have been good business. I think that with the movie coming out now, awareness is going to be so high for Black Widow because your average moviegoer who might see a movie and then go, wow, I'm kind of interested in this, I'm going to go check out the comics, isn't going to know to check this out beforehand. But once the movie comes out, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I need to get, but it's come out just in time for the collectors to grab the first issue.
It's true.
And them to be off the shelves and for a second printing to get ordered. So that way the casual moviegoers, they can get the second printing, then they'll catch up with the book, and that it's still going on now that the movie's released. The awareness is high. And, you still have a couple of issues to go.
You're such a shrewd businessman, Joe.
That's business. That's
you
comic
got
book
it
business.
locked in, man. That's crazy. Now
it's just from being the victim. Yes.
Nice. Now it's Black Widow, and they kind of open up where she's in her native Russia a little bit, and the whole first issue is dealing with an op that's gone wrong, and she's having to recover and get out of this current situation. And at the end of the comic, spoilers again, is someone's followed her for years, and they actually want to be the new Black Widow.
Yes.
Which she's intrigued by this, and at the end of the comic, or this issue particularly, she goes off grid from S.H.I.E.L.D. She's like, okay, how do you want to do this? She's talking to the person who wants to, a one-up her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm off the grid now. She's like, oh my God, Agent Romanoff's off the grid. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I mean, it kind of speaking to her ego a little bit, which really shouldn't rattle her because she's such a professional spy.
She is. She's a professional spy. And apparently, according to this comic, likes to get into hand-to-hand combat wearing just her underwear all the time.
If it happens and you don't have time to put something on,
please,
I can understand that.
Please.
It's like, oh my God, I have to. Okay, you can either get dressed or you can be knifed to death. What do you want to do?
The writer could be a little bit more creative and not put her in that situation in the first place. It's fan servicey.
You're asking for so much, Joe.
I'm not a huge fan of that. Like with DC, and they did their new 52, and they released that Catwoman book. And it's all about Catwoman being like over-sexualized, and it was real fan servicey. And be creative. There is a wealth of writers out there who want to write for you, Marvel, and want to write for you, DC, and they want to write creative stuff and have respect for your characters. Give them a shot. If you're going to reduce yourselves to just doing like a 24-page book where 10 pages of it is your character in her bra and panties fighting in different compromising positions and stuff. Listen, and I'm as much of a man as the next guy. And
right.
When I was an adolescent, I loved that, and that's where I was like, "Whoa, yeah, she's happening." But now that I'm 34 years old, I'm like, "All right, let's be a little bit more creative. You've got my 350, so why don't you give me something a little bit more creative, something a little more professional?" And that's kind of my problem with this book. Also, way exposition heavy. Like every other panel is just crazy description. We don't. I'll open this up to like the first couple of pages. You've got
it's massive inner monologue.
Look at all the inner monologue. It's like Chris Claremont's writing this thing. There's just so much internal dialogue going on, and it's boring. It's a comic book. Show me, don't tell me.
I actually like the whole inner workings of when she's undercover. Like how she's getting into a persona and all that kind of cool stuff.
They don't have to spell it out for you. It could be a lot more creative. And listen, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this.
That's true. That's
and
true.
It's okay.
I mean,
You've got your style that you like. I'd prefer it.
I thought the whole take on her they could have delved into it more. I know that's just nails on a chalkboard to you, but I'm like, they could have delved into more of her psyche when she's undercover and, how she deals with her aliases. And I think they could have made a little bit more out of that.
If they were going to do that, then you make that more of this first issue instead of like giving us 2 pages of like 12 paragraphs on it and then hurrying up to get to the point. Like, no, that's uneven storytelling. If you want to get all that, if you want to get that out, you could do it a little more subtle and you could do it at a better pace. And ultimately, for me, just for my taste, the pacing of this book is horrible. The panels don't flow, and I'm not too into the fan servicey element.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about was the paneling and the flow from panel to panel. I'm like, I got a very so-so feeling off this book.
Yeah. You know what, people? I do like comic books. I know, like, listening to my last few reviews, it sounds like I hate every comic that's just the comics that we've reviewed so far. I'm just not a big fan. But I love comics. I do. It's just, yeah, this one, not so much.
I thought they would have made more of an effort to do an official movie tie-in prelude. Kind of like what they did with Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek was great.
Yeah.
How they really set it up. Too bad they didn't mention too much of it in the film. But,
I never read those. I didn't read those.
No, it was a good read, dude.
Is this the only prelude book that's out right now on shelves?
Pardon me.
Please don't die.
I plan not to until the end of the show. As far as I know, that's the only official tie-in prelude. Yes.
See, I probably would have started with Captain America, like what we were talking about.
Yeah,
There's a lot of history that took place between his movie, and the Avengers. They could have covered that in this, and it would have been a little more interesting and gotten people into their groove. I think that's a bad business move to start with Black Widow.
I'll have to. Well, of course, from the movie point of view, she's the one that has the least amount of exposition in the films that we've seen.
Yeah,
and I can understand that particular decision being made. I was like, in just the films only, she's the one with the least amount of exposition. Let's flush her out a little bit.
Right.
And that's fine. But I would agree with you with Captain America. There were too many unanswered questions and a lot of stuff that we wanted to see tied up at the end of his film by the time we got to Avengers.
Right.
Because we want those questions answered by the time he's already in the film itself.
Yes.
And now I can understand that they're probably going to wait until Captain America 2, which is great. But again, maybe Captain America 2 should have come out before Avengers.
Oh, see, I think they made a mistake doing Iron Man 2 before the Avengers.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Explain yourself.
I don't think that Iron Man 2 was really necessary. If you look at what kind of impact that movie had on their little microcosmic universe or whatever, it doesn't really affect what happens. It doesn't affect much of what was going on. It was just another movie to kind of milk a little bit of money. You could tell Favreau was already tired. He was doing paint by numbers with the movie. It wasn't, it had a great opening. It had a pretty good ending. But the whole middle hour and a half was really boring, and Mickey Rourke was wasted in that movie.
Yeah, that's true. He could have been a much more better villain. And again, I got at the end of that film, I got a very Ironmonger feel to it.
Yeah.
The only good positive thing that you can pull away from Iron Man 2 is War Machine.
I guess, but
that's really the only thing.
That's 2 seconds, and it was.
I know
it was. A really cool fight with War Machine at the end, but then that middle part where Tony was drunk and they started. It was wasted potential. I think they should have just stuck with one movie for each of those characters.
Right.
Gone into the Avengers. Now you could sequelize the other ones if you want. I think that would be a waste of time. I would much rather they just pull their resources and do an Avengers 2. But they're not going to do it because that's bad business. You make money off those individual movies.
That's right. Now, official yay or nay on Avengers Prelude with Black Widow?
Yay. No, I'm kidding. After everything I said,
it's
nay.
It's the underwear fights, isn't it? That's what did it for you.
That's part of it.
I'm going to reserve judgment, and I'm going to check out issues 2 and 3 just to see how it ties into the film. I get a very feel that the first scene you see her in Avengers is pretty much the last panel of the comic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm getting, and yeah, I mean I'm lukewarm as far as the story is concerned. So we'll see.
I'm Luke Skywalker.
Yes, you're Luke Skywalker.
I couldn't resist.
You keep thinking that. Now you've been listening to the Nerd Show here on 1190 AM. Of course, that's iHeartRadio.com. Keyword 1190. Wait. Oh man, I almost made it to the whole show.
Nerdshowonline.com.
That's right. You can check out our Facebook, facebook.com/The Nerd Show. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/@The at The Nerd Show. Thank you for listening. This has been an Avengers-filled broadcast.
Assemble!
Hopefully we'll get to something else later on next week. But for now, Avengers Assemble. Thank you, Joe, and we will
Excelsior.
see you next week.
See ya.
The Nerd Show is a production of Nerdville Entertainment.